Okay, hello. Today is August 20th, 2022. I am at the home of Steve and Ann Schmidt, who are seated with me along with the sons Gabe and Charlie. My name is Mary Komorowski. I am your interviewer today, and we're here for the St. Matthew Parish History Project. So first of all, thank you for participating.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me a little bit about your family background? Where did your family come from? Where you were baptized? Where did you go to school?
You want to
I can start.
Okay.
Yep. St. Matthew has been part of my life, pretty much my entire life, because I was born and raised in Oak Creek. So I was baptized at St. Matthew. I went to school there, first grade through eighth grade. Celebrated all the sacraments there, and then Steve and I got married there. Had the boys who also then were baptized at St. Matt's, went to school at St. Matt's, 10 years for Gabe, 4K through 8th grade, and then on to Thomas More, and Charlie's in 6th grade, so he's been at St. Matt's since 4K as well. So I think for multiple generations now, St. Matt's has essentially been home for our family.
Oh, that's pretty cool. What about you, Steve?
So same similarities. I started in South Milwaukee. I was born in South Milwaukee. I was baptized at St. Mary's, which is part of the Divine Mercy right now. It's no longer there. And then I moved at 6 years old. My parents built a house in Caledonia, and I went to grade school, first grade through 8th grade at St. Louis in Caledonia. And then on to high school, I went to Racine Case, and still continued going to confirmed and everything at St. Louis in Caledonia. And then when I was in my 20s, I moved to Oak Creek and I joined St. Matthew's. And then Ann pretty much has it covered from there with married at St. Matt's, and the boys were involved in St. Matt's, and we've been involved ever since.
So you moved to Oak Creek before you got married?
Yes, before I got married, in maybe around 1995, I'd say. Moved to Oak Creek.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Can you describe the beginnings of your involvement with St. Matt's? I know you pretty much covered that, but I mean, in terms of getting involved in various activities and things, committees, school, whatever.
So once the kids were born, it was very easy to get involved because there were a lot of committees and teams and coaches that were needed. So that was real easy. But the very beginning for me was when Ann and I met Bob Johnson, who was her adopted grandfather, who was very involved at St. Matthew's, and he took me under his wing for the fish boil. So I was the water boy, and then I was the wood boy, and then I was allowed to help with some other things. But there was a pecking order with the whole fish boil. And then St. Matthew's way back when had a church festival, and I didn't really help with that, but I did help with some of the card party stuff for the smoker, but mostly with the fish boil and mostly with coaching and other committees. Ann and I help with a baptism class as well. She mostly helps with that, and I just am along for the ride.
Yeah, I think, going way back when, just kind of volunteering when you're a kid, when we used to have, the holiday fair was big, and, different events, kind of when I was their age, we participated in that, and I think it was probably more after we had kids that we became more involved. We do the family mentoring program through St. Matt's, so new families that are joining the school, we're there to kind of welcome them, show them the ropes, answer questions for them. And then, I've been very involved with school committees, many years on the school advisory committee, co-chaired the auction committee for many years, and then involved in coaching.
One other thing I didn't add was once Dan Walks found out I was somewhat handy with heating and air conditioning and plumbing and whatnot, then I was able to help him with some of that as well, just with furnaces and boiler issues in the school.
Got to
and
use
the
those
church.
talents.
Use the talents, and it seems like they find it, and you feel good about helping.
What about you guys? Have you been involved in things like, I don't know, Sandwich Sunday or anything like that, or mission trips, or not yet?
Not yet, really. I help at the card party and the fish boil, and I played sports, and I was on student council at St. Matt's.
Okay.
Help plan events for the other classes and stuff.
And then like with the mentor families and stuff.
Yeah, Charlie likes meeting the new people. We just got our list yesterday. He's excited to find out a new boy in his class who he can't wait to meet, to see who's going to be in his class. So, and you help with a fish boil. And, yep.
Cool. It's always important to get the young ones involved early on, I think.
I feel like too, when Charlie had found some other kids that were coming to his class, the parents would get in touch with Ann, and they'd have like a play day just to kind of have a familiar face that's been there, and yeah, kind of like a welcoming that way.
What is your fondest memory of all of the activities and things that you've been involved in? Anything stand out?
I would say just, there isn't one particular memory for me, but having the kids go through St. Matthew's Parish and in school, and just the amount of people and friendships you build and close relationships, and they always talk about the parish community, and it's amazing. Like, Anna probably can tell the story a little better, but when we were in the baptism class when she was pregnant with Gabe, there was another family that was in it, and we didn't know them, and they ended up both going to St. Matthew's together, and we're like best friends with them now, or they're very close with us. So just meeting these people and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it's impossible to pick like one memory. And I can let the kids speak, because I think one of the coolest things about St. Matt's is just like the tradition within the school and the parish. So I have many sort of at that phase of my life, memories with Mr. Kane and Jeopardy and, field day and the things that are still continuing. So those are, thinking childhood, my best memories. I think now, I think just seeing the different generations and people who like were there when I was their age at school, and being involved in the parish, they are still there. So now it's like they're grandkids, they were the parents, now, they're the grandparents, but they're still involved. They're still the ones there doing things. So just to see that kind of continue, I think is really neat to see.
It's like once you're in, you can't get out, right?
Yeah, yes. But you develop those real strong relationships with those people that you've known
Great.
at very different phases in your life. So it's neat.
You might be volunteering for something, but you're volunteering with your friends, and it ends up being more of a social thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have the St. Matt's golf outing shirt that I help. There's a lot of people that step up in that, but I go to it and I enjoy it.
Cool.
A lot of events.
You guys have a fondest memory?
Mardi Gras and field day were always really fun. Like my first time being an altar boy, that was something fun that I still remember. That's about it for me.
Like going to church every week and stuff, and then like being in the choir and helping out like with church and stuff.
Cool.
Cool.
You've done a good job raising these boys who like to go to church. That's great.
They're on camera.
Well, we've talked about that a little bit. Have you served on church council or in any other leadership roles?
No, I mean, just like the school advisory committee, no, and the baptism, but not really on parish council in that capacity.
And you were involved in the auction.
Yeah, but not leadership so much.
No? Okay. Well, there's time for that yet.
Right.
We've been asked. It's just it seems like it's been a busy time
Yeah,
with this.
maybe the next stage in our life when we can dedicate more time to that.
Okay. Switching gears a little bit. Tell me about a time when you were excited about a ministry going on and a time when you might have been a little discouraged about something. Whichever you want first.
Just this last, what is it called? The fundraiser that Father Pat was running.
Mm-hmm.
Love one another.
Love One Another campaign. It felt like, we were on board with it, but we didn't know a lot. And all of a sudden, Father Pat's telling you that our numbers are like, we're almost at our goal in this like short amount of time. So that was super exciting to see, like, holy cow, we didn't even get our pledge in yet. And we're already, these other families are very, very into it and obviously excited about the Love One Another campaign. So that was kind of exciting. I can't think of any. I get excited about some of the new music and some of the, I know it's not really a campaign, but when we put together, a concert or something after church, hours like during the week, a weeknight, or we bring in, we brought in a singer once, and that's kind of exciting. It seems like it's a pretty big hit.
The Jesse Manabusen?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was
one.
awesome, but that was like right when COVID started. That was just amazing when he came.
Yeah.
So I thought that, yes, and I was part of that committee too, kind of getting that up. So that, personally, I thought was
That was
amazing.
great.
But as far as that disappointment, I anticipated and again, it was at the start of COVID, so who knows? But I anticipated standing room only. I mean, it was that wonderful, and I thought publicized. So that one was where it was a little disappointing that it was such a wonderful and big event that I feel like a lot of people missed out on. And again, it could have been the circumstances of the timing of all of that, but and then the other, I had something else about, I think the family ministry program that was started, I don't know how many years back, but we've been involved with some of that, working at Just One More Ministry and some of the other, I can't remember the other places we went. But that's exciting, I think, because it gets younger people involved and kind of seeing some of the names. I know one of a newer family that we were, part of the welcoming. I've seen them on the list, that they get really involved doing that. So I think that's kind of an exciting group to be a part of, committee, what have you, just because I think it can get a lot of people involved doing service and starting at a young age. So it engages them.
One of the things that's pretty big and exciting is when you're at the St. Matt's School auction, and you see some of these people bidding on an item for, they're fighting over a classroom item, and the money is just like, wait, they're spending what on this? But it's going to the school, and that auction is amazing as far as the energy and the willingness to give to the school for their kids, for the family's children. So it's exciting being there. I don't think planning that is that exciting. But,
It's exciting. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it because they've been successful.
I know it's not really a campaign, it's more of a fundraiser, but yeah.
Anything discouraging? Well, you've mentioned one thing, Ann, but what about you guys? Anything that's been discouraging to you, or things that you were really excited about?
The Souls Walk, we would do that every year, and that was always a fun event, even though sometimes I wouldn't want to go because it's Saturday morning
And you'd rather sleep.
Yeah, but it's always fun to go there and to just walk and see your friends who would go.
Like Catholic Schools Week and stuff, and like all the fun activities that you do during it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know the boys, and being involved in sports, I think they always had wished for a little bit better sports setup, or maybe like a gym.
A gym.
A gym.
That's what I was waiting to come out of your mouth. You've begged for years and years.
I know, we're
That's probably
Charlie's
best.
there for
Just
2 more
starting.
years, so it's we know this won't happen with our kids, but I know a lot of families talk about how cool it would be to have a gym.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was the plan, right?
Mhm.
When we were going to have, we had the gathering space, and we're going to have the new church, and then that just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Well, maybe some group, maybe by the 200th,
Right.
it will be there.
Right.
This is kind of a departure question here, but how has the involvement of the laity in the parish changed over the years? Have you noticed much in that area? You probably have,
Yeah.
having been to school there.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely grown. We used to have like Sister Carol Ann was the head of the religious ed. Probably for many years when I was younger. So I feel like there's definitely more involvement from lay people, obviously, with Carol and with all the different people we have leading like all aspects of, religious ed and different committees. So it seems that, yeah, there's definitely been more involvement, more leadership roles from lay people in the parish.
Okay. Here's a good one for you. Who was the most influential person in your faith development at St. Matthew's? A pastor, maybe, a teacher, other adults? Let's start with the kids on this one.
Okay.
Who's been most influential in your faith development?
Well, all my teachers, they would always teach religion very well, and like church at school. So Father Pat always having church at school, and like I remember there was some days he would just come in and talk to us if we had any questions about religion and our faith. So like the teachers and Father Pat have always encouraged like the religion at St. Matt's, which has been cool.
What
yeah,
about you?
same thing. And like all like the people who help with like religious ed and like First Communion and stuff. So
You have
Mrs.
specific
Dawn.
people?
Mrs. Dawn and Mrs. Felsky. Wait,
Ms. Felsky?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you two?
I don't have one in particular. I would just say it comes from your faith foundation as children, and your parents and the grandparents for me. My parents and grandparents. And then once I was in my 20s, though, I kind of stepped up on my own because, so I was raised, my dad was Lutheran and my mom was Catholic, but I was brought up in the Catholic faith. And I just felt like, once you're that young adult, I needed to take the step on my own, and I kind of did that on my own. I felt the need to, it's kind of called back. But that's like your roots as a child, or as a young adult. So for me, that's, it started young. No one particular person.
Gosh, I've been here for so long. I guess thinking back to, similar to what Gabe had said, thinking about, like our parish priest, so it was Father Joe, was our parish priest for a long time, probably like my middle school, high school time period. So I feel like he just had a very calming sense. I was also an altar server, so I served many masses with Father Joe, and just he was a great person, leader, and I feel like was very helpful, again, coming into the classroom, sharing insights on our faith. So along with a lot of the teachers as well. Mr. Kane obviously was a big part, having him him at the school as well. So I feel like I learned, got a lot of, faith formation from those individuals in particular.
I thought for sure you were going to talk about that, like your dad. So
Yeah.
there's a statistic in our baptism class we teach that always says when the dad is involved, what was the number?
A very high percentage
Yeah,
that you'll remain in the faith. So yeah.
If you hadn't said that, I was going to.
Okay.
Because not just your dad, but both of your parents.
Both parents.
I think they're fabulous role models.
Yeah.
I get all choked up.
Yes, they are. I was thinking more, my teachers and priests, but obviously I think that, yes, and again, we talk about a lot of this in baptism, that I may not have liked my parents making us go to church every weekend, but I can completely appreciate it now, which gives me the strength to make my children go, which they're not always happy about that, but I hope that in the future they'll look back and say, okay, that was
At least one of them
that
I
was
know
a good
likes
move.
going. He
Right.
mentioned it early on.
Right.
He likes going.
right.
So. All right. What have been any significant events that you can recall, good or bad, in the history of the parish?
I mean, I think like the COVID, I think is the biggest. Like it's just, which I mean was good and bad, right? I mean, it seriously made us shut down, the church, which seemed like there would be nothing that would ever
Right.
let us do, take that away, something that we do every week, and it is really needed, and to just have that not there can be devastating, but to see how the parish was able to really get creative, and how are we going to keep everybody together when we can't be together. I mean, so there were a lot of resources for being able to still, go to mass, but in your living room. The videos that Father Pat would put out that helped us feel like still connected, like we still have a mass or a church and a community, and we're here for each other, even though we can't physically, go to mass like we normally do. And I think that was all successful. Like there's a lot of people who are back now, that we can all be back. From the school standpoint, it was huge. I mean, obviously we had a huge influx in, based on the amazing job that, Mrs. Stefanich and the entire staff and Father Pat did to keep the schools open as much as possible. And my thought was, well, we're going to have these, families that just want in person, and then, once the public schools are opened, they're going to leave, and the fact that really nobody left and their classes are all still full, speaks to what we have at St. Matt's, and the community, the school, the parish. It's something special, and I think we were really tested with COVID, and we were strong. We came out stronger, probably, and it was a challenge, but I think that we faced it well and have learned a lot and came out stronger on the other end.
Okay. I don't think you're old enough for this one. Pre-Vatican II? Okay, we'll skip that question. Describe the church buildings when you first joined the parish and how they changed.
I can speak a little bit. I mean, I think the Little Brick Church is still such a neat historical aspect of our grounds, and to go to a couple prayer services in there, it really opens your eyes to what some of the history of our parish and what maybe it used to look like, and the gathering space. I was at the church when that was being done, and that is a huge addition and a positive, I think, to the church, because it's just a place where after church people can socialize, and it just brings the whole parish community together. We are probably one of the last families to leave every Sunday or every Saturday afternoon, and
But
Ann
when
and I
I
will be
grew
in
up,
there. Yeah,
that's how it was. Except we didn't have the gathering space, so the whole Weiss family was in like where the fish bowl is now at that other entrance. So
Right.
it was, if you can imagine sometimes how packed the gathering space is, and then like it was all of those people filing out of church through that one door and just congregating. So there were many a times where, you know, my aunts and uncles and cousins, we were the last people out with whoever it might have been, you know, Father Bill, Father Joe, Father John, like, all right guys, I'm turning the lights off, you know, it's time to go. So I think having that gathering space is huge. I mean, it's great to be in church together, but then to, you know, be able to socialize after, and all the different events that can happen, you know, the different meetings and whatnot. It's just a great place to have. So that's probably the biggest change. Like the buildings itself, a lot is very similar to when I was there.
the church, the pews have been moved, you know, and it's been kind of altered. It used to be all the
Yes.
long way.
Yes, with the gold carpet. That's like my childhood memory of St. Matt's, is facing the other direction with the altar.
We would
and
all
the
face,
gold
yeah.
carpet.
The altar was on the west side.
And what lovely carpet that was.
Yes. That's the way it was when we were married, and then it shortly after transitioned. So, but yeah, the buildings are very similar. We used to have the old hall, where we went for like gym class and intramurals, and that no longer exists. There's been, definitely updating to some of it, but other stuff is very much the same. You feel like, you're right back to, you know, when you were in grade school. So
I think one of the biggest things recently has been the AV on the TVs.
And
And
the speakers.
yes.
you guys like that?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Okay. When you think about St. Matthew's future, what excites you the most, and or what concerns you the most?
For me, just seeing a lot of the young families and the young faces in church, in the school, attendance being full is it's exciting to know that we still have people that are very interested in St. Matthew's at a young age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would probably be, but there's excitement over, I mean, the current status and where we are, and that people are clearly committed, based on, you know, people being at Mass, based on, you know, higher enrollment at the school, based on new committees. And I feel like there's so many opportunities, whether it's like faith formation, you know, different prayer groups, you know, the Cup of Joy, which I really enjoy going to. There's so many different opportunities, and different people, I think, finding out what they're good at and then going with it and creating, you know, whether it's a specialized group, you know, support group, or, you know, Bible study group. So seeing so many different people involved and having so many different programs to offer, hopefully will keep people, you know, invested in the parish. You know, to see that people were, you know, very generous financially. They clearly believe in the parish, and that where we're going, you know, to give that, that donation as well. So that makes me feel really good. But sometimes I worry that we don't have, you know, as much involvement, or, you know, that sometimes it's, you know, the same groups of people, and we need to make sure that new people are really coming on. And that's where I think, you know, the whole welcoming and is so important, and having people, you know, feel supported and, you know, to get them involved, hopefully will help continue, you know, getting new people involved and, you know, having new groups and new opportunities for people at the parish.
This isn't very new, like Father Pat and Deacon John and Deacon Steve, but I can say that just having them as leaders, Father Pat especially, and him surrounding himself with good deacons, that the church attendance is up, the homilies are great. Just that's a big positive.
What about the younger generation? Do you have concerns for the future with the parish? Have you thought about that at all? Or
I haven't really thought about that, but I feel like we'll be good because there's a lot of young kids that I know enjoy going to church and might come back like later in their lives.
okay, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, right.
All right, this is along those same lines. What would you most like to remain the same at St. Matt's, and what would you like to see change?
So I'm just gonna throw out, like, the music I think is fabulous, and I hope that remains the same, that we can continue. I think that kind of just changes sometimes the feel of the mass and like your energy level. So I hope that we can continue like keeping that a priority and moving ahead with that.
Can I interrupt and ask what specifically about when you say the music? Can you elaborate?
Yes. So sometimes we have guitarists and, you know, additional, you know, people helping with the music. It tends to be, I mean, I think Mrs. O has a great voice and really kind of gets everybody energized with her music selection. Sometimes it's not always the traditional church music. I appreciate the traditional songs, but to mix it up with some new, you know, non-traditional music, I think it really impacts the mass and the energy level. I mean, and you can see it from people who are, you know, moving to the music and just, I think, really appreciate it. So
You've been watching me, haven't you? Kidding.
I personally don't, and I'll probably say this, I don't like a lot of change, so it's good. Let's keep it the same. So there's times where, you know, Father Pat said he didn't know, you know, if he was staying or if they were going to make a change to Arch, and now, you know, so that the stability, I think, is good, is important.
What concerns you guys? Or what would you like to see remain the same, and what would you like to see change? Any thoughts on that?
No.
Charlie, anything?
Not really.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
One other thing I forgot to throw in, like, for the kids was some of the relationships they built now. Gabe is a familiar face still in church, and he gets asked to babysit once in a while by some of the other families there. So you have that network relationship with younger families in the church as well.
Do you guys have anything you want to add?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you very much for your participation today, and watch for yourselves on YouTube.
Oh, boy.